Me to thank you, Honorable Elsie, for coming up with a very good motion. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is good also to remember in this country right now, we are suffering drought in different corners of this country. We have students who are not going to school, Mr. Speaker, sir, because there's a lot of problem on matters of food insecurity. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, I stand to support the motion, because some of us come in some constituencies where some students cannot go in school. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I stand here, I come from Joro constituency where I have some wants, where some students cannot attend schools because of lack of food. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm standing here to support the motion, because when we make sure that there is a feeding program in school, we are also emphasizing on healthy diets.
Next, the Honorable Zambia.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Let me first thank my God for making me get back to this Parliament, and I thank my family, together with my constituents, for making me being elected the second time to serve them. I'll be very brief to support this motion. I had the opportunity to serve in the Education Committee in the last Parliament, and I remember very well that we passed a budget of around 2 billion for school feeding program. What I am urging the government is that we should move very fast to settle and disperse those funds to the schools before they close. That is, all the areas. All the schools were considered, so I think it is the best time now for the government to release those funds so that we can keep the students in school. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Malulu Injendi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to congratulate LC for this motion. It is really timely. Mr. Speaker, I remember myself, those who sat for the CPE exams. We had a milk program in our schools, 1970s, which actually enticed some of us to remain in school because every day we were taking milk. So I second this motion that is timely for most of the Kenyans, because I know what's happening in most of our schools. Currently, parents are paying money to have this program in their schools, and those parents who are not able to pay, Mr. Speaker, it is so embarrassing, it is so dehumanizing that those students, pupils who have not paid, are kept in the field, not eating, whereas those who have paid eat. So this is really timely existence. Thank you.
There is a point of order. Yes, Mheshimiwa. Give the honorable member the mic.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on point of order in line with Standing Order number 107C. To just inform you, because the Speaker has no eyes and has no ears, that the level of consultation in the House is too disruptive for us to follow the proceedings of the House. Thank you, sir.
Indeed, the honorable members, I did already say that you are conversing in too loud voices, making it difficult for those interested in the debate to follow. Try and lower your tones in your conversations. Malulu Injendi, have you finished?
So, Mr. Speaker, if this program can be taken over by the government, that we have a systematic way of ensuring that there's food in schools, I know most of our pupils will remain in school, they will be held in school, and they will study. And most of the families that suffer are families from the poor families. And interestingly, these are the families that bear bright children. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Kombe.
Asante, Mheshimiwa Speaker. Pia nichukue nafasi hii nimpongeze Mheshimiwa Elsie kwa kuleta hoja hii. Mheshimiwa Speaker, ni wazi na ni dhahiri kwamba shule nyingi hasa za msingi, watoto wengi huwa wanaacha kuendelea na masomo kwa ajili ya janga hili la njaa. Wakati mwingi utawapata wanahudhuria asubuhi na saa 8 hawarudi shule kwa sababu hawawezi kumudu hali ile ya njaa, na wale wachache watakaoweza kurudi shuleni pia vile vile, Mheshimiwa Spika, utawapata wanalala, hawana wakati wa kuweza kusikiza kwa makini na kupata yale wanayofundishwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, ningeomba tu mara mswada huu unapopita, Mheshimiwa Spika, ile kamati ya utekelezaji wa miswada kama hii ikaweze kuchukua hatamu na ikaweze kuhakikisha ya kwamba mswada huu unatekelezwa.
The Honorable Omanyo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I actually was very excited when I had this motion, and I support fully. Just like students or pupils wear uniforms, nobody will discover who is poor and who is rich if all the children are given some food, and there will be no stress, because nowadays we have mental health issues rising, because sometimes it is the environment the kid was raised that makes these children not to grow actually focused. And also the concept of uniformity or unity. When children eat together and nobody notices that this one misses lunch because they have not paid, then they will grow sharing and will not be raising a selfish society. Thank you.
Honorable Elsie, there is a request from Honorable Kiari of Dagoretti South to take a minute from you as well. Do you mind? Kiari, give him the microphone, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to start by commending the Honorable Elsie for bringing such a timely motion on school feeding. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to report to this House that beyond just pushing a motion, beyond formulating legislation, beyond forming policy on school feeding is actually practically possible in any constituency in this country. And I say that being a member of parliament from the only constituency in the Republic that has a comprehensive school feeding program. So to Honorable Elsie, the bills I'd like to make on your school feeding program is one, yes, it is very essential. Secondly, the model that works in Dagoretti South constituency is a model that involves a number of stakeholders. For starters, as Dagoretti South constituency and GCDF, we built a central kitchen in one of the schools in the constituencies. From this central kitchen, we are able to feed 12,000 students every day out of that one kitchen. What we have been able to do is work out a logistical mechanism of food distribution where the food is prepared by 8 a.m., by 9 a.m. the food is ready, by 10 a.m. it's being packed, by 11 it is being distributed around the constituency, and it arrives in all the schools at around the same time while it is still hot. Now what we have done is that we have dismantled the food cartels in the constituency.
Your time is up.
How do the food
Your time is up. Honorable Elsie, you have 3 minutes to go. Understand you have donated 1 more minute to Honorable Kimilu, is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Due to lack of food. Mr. Speaker, I think this from the parents, teachers, and also the community due to the anger, because, Mr. Speaker, as you are speaking now, the drought is persisting and children are suffering. So I support and thank you, Honorable Mwanda, for a very important motion.
Honorable Elsie, now you have 2 minutes to wind up.
In winding up, Honorable Speaker, you can see how this motion has a lot of interest, because the situation on the ground is bad, Honorable Speaker. Right now, 3 million Kenyans are hungry. 10 counties are food insufficient. Honorable Speaker, I beg that we take up this matter seriously as a country. I urge the Education Department and all the other agencies to take up the matter, and I propose, members, that this should be an act of parliament, because in Article 53, food is a basic need. A hungry child cannot go to school. So food being a basic need, Mr. Speaker, I urge that this motion, we take it very, very seriously, and all members, we move with it with speed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Order. I'll now put the question. That aware that school meals are an important safety net for vulnerable children from food insecure households and communities in Kenya, appreciating that school meals have multiple benefits, such as increased school enrollments and attendance, as well as significant and positive contribution to reducing hunger and improving nutritional intake, noting that primary school completion rates have been found to be higher in schools with meals provided. Thus, school meals remain a core development intervention to support the country's achievements in the education sector. Recognizing that some county governments have adopted direct and community-led initiatives for ECD school feeding programs, concerned that the exercise is not supposed to be a clear policy, is not supported by a clear policy and budgetary framework, support pupils in primary and secondary schools who form the basic education ecosystem, cognizant of the fact that where school meal programs have been initiated, it has been noted that they encounter different challenges that embed their effectiveness, including insufficient resources due to low budgetary allocation and budget cuts, lack of a school feeding policy, inadequate safe cooking and drinking water, drought and famine, poor food storage, a lengthy procurement process, insecurity and dilapidated infrastructure, among others. This House therefore resolves that the Minister of Education, through the relevant State Department, immediately develops a school feeding policy to cover basic education pupils and all Hamala titles.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move the following motion, that aware that education is a key enabler of national development and realization of Kenya's Vision 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals, and appreciating the invaluable role that teachers play in actualizing the national goals of education, noting that a conducive working environment for teachers enhances performance, and recalling that the delocalization of teachers commenced in 2018 by the Teacher Service Commission immensely disrupted teachers' lives, lowered teachers' morale, and caused untold trauma to many teachers countrywide. Honorable Speaker, concerned that the exercise was not supported with a clear policy framework and was initiated without the participation of teachers or their unions, contrary to Articles 118 and 132 of the Constitution on public participation and involvement of the people in the process of policy making, and cognizant of the fact that the localization of teachers is inconsistent with the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, teacher deployment practice, which treats education as a culture process conducted within a people's cultural context at the local level. Honorable Speaker, I beg this House to resolve that the Teacher Service Commission immediately reverses the ongoing delocalization of teachers and initiates a comprehensive review of the teacher deployment policy with the involvement of teachers in order to make the policy consistent with International Labour Organization, ILO, and UNESCO laws and practices on teacher management and deployment. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank God for the opportunity He has given me and to thank the people of Lurambi for electing me for the second time. And Honorable Speaker, as I move this motion, we are all aware that we have a problem in our schools. Education is what we can give to a country. Our children and generations to come can only be guaranteed when we have a better framework of education. Honorable Speaker, I rise here today to speak on this issue, delocalization, which commenced in the year 2018, whereby without any preparation, without any participation by unions and education stakeholders, Teachers Service Commission began to move teachers from one point to another point. Teachers were moved as animals and not even as human beings. Honorable Speaker, education, as we know, is culture-based. And when I was in school, Honorable Speaker, my teacher began to teach me in this format. Ma, me, mi, mo, mu. Ma, me, mi, mo, mu. Pa, pe, pi, po, pu. You know, because it is culture-based and is local, you can imagine, Honorable Speaker, in my school, in Shibuli, in Butsotso, if I had a teacher from another place with a different accent coming to teach me on how to say ma, me, mi, mo, mu, with their heavy accent or with their light accent, and so the TSC contravened the basic tenet of education, whereby it is local. Teaching is local. Honorable Speaker, we are building and putting in a lot of infrastructure in schools. We pride ourselves on how many schools we have built as members of parliament. We build story buildings, but we forget that if the welfare of the teacher is not taken care of, that story building is no good. A teacher who's taken good care of, a teacher whose welfare is taken care of, can post good results, Honorable Speaker, even if they are teaching under a tree. We have invested heavily and immensely. Honorable Speaker, I pray you protect me from, there is a lot of talking.
Proceed. It's relatively low now.
Honorable Speaker, I'm forced to lift my voice of the bishop.
I've heard you talk very loudly in your church, so speak like that.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I proceed. So, Honorable Speaker, I speak on behalf of so many teachers because, Honorable Speaker, when the localization came in place, teachers' unions were stifled. Life was taken out of the unions of the teachers. Those who were supposed to defend teachers, I will even mention the Honorable Mboko Milemba, who is here and he was in the last parliament. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Milemba could not even speak on behalf of teachers because TSC was sitting on him. TSC was harassing him.
Point of order from Honorable Milemba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. In as much as I appreciate Member for Lurambi for this very good motion, which I have prepared to speak on, Honorable Speaker, I don't think it's in order to shout my name in Parliament here, remembering that I'm the National Chairman of the Teachers of Kenya, and I speak for the teachers when I have to speak for them. Now that we are in Parliament, I would really ask him to be orderly so that he speaks on parliamentary issues without necessarily shouting my name as not having spoken for the teachers. Yet, that's the work I do, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, going back to the issue of delocalization, and I appreciate Honorable Mboko Milemba, who's my friend, and it was on a light note, because I know what you and Honorable Sosion went through. It was very difficult. Honorable Speaker, delocalization completely undermines performance, because teachers are posted in areas where they don't want to go, Honorable Speaker. In my constituency, I visited a school and I had a conversation with the principal of a secondary school who was asking me why he was posted there, and it was not even me who took him there. Teachers are demoralized because they are plugged from point A, taken to point B without preparation, psychologically. And, Honorable Speaker, we have to realize that teachers are human beings. They have families. You find a young couple, both of them are teachers. One is taken to the west, another one is taken to the east. These teachers suffer from financial constraints because they are not adequately paid by the Teachers Service Commission so that they can be able to fund themselves, rent homes, because separately they are renting homes. Honorable Speaker, when I
Chal nade? Chal ka gimi ka kang'iyo sim gi pacha te? Kiki hum ahinya. En mana ni asebedo e story ahinya. Mana kaka rally manyochacha ne chal ka gima ne an kanyo kane otimo. Kendo kane iyawo chiro manyien ne chal ka gima ne an kanyo. Sama ne imiyo welo mapacho ka nengo mogonyore nam chumbi ne antie. In bende inyalo bedo e story kamora amora. Download mana Citizen Digital.
Bed iyo ng'ala manyime gi weche manyien ka gi tuch kod gik mamoko ka gitimore kuno pogre pachoka kod pinje ma oko. Download Citizen Digital.
Citizen Digital.